Hello, ladies. It's a day early, but it is Ladies Who Lunch Day. I am Marci Bailey, and I have a special guest today. We're so excited. The lady herself.
Ippolita.
Yeah.
So I do have a last name, Ippolita Rostagno, but, it's too much.
It sounds way prettier when you say it than if I said it.
Ippolita's enough.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
And thank you for having us.
Yes. We're so excited because this is the first time we're hosting live people after a really long time.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're honored. It's us.
Yes.
We're glad to be here.
It's a virtual event, but,
yeah,
at least with some people.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, as always, for being here, ladies. We're hoping you're having a great week. You're enjoying some lunch. We are going to literally show you some amazing jewels today. We have lots of fun things. I can't wait for Ippolita to share her amazing knowledge, her amazing design sensibility with you guys. So thanks for being here. If you have any questions, any comments, please pop those up there. Emily can share them with us. Nicole is also back in Raleigh and will be able to link things for you guys if that's necessary. So we can kind of hop right in. So for those of you that don't know, we have carried your beautiful jewelry in our stores for, gosh, I don't know, 13 years? It's been a while.
A long time.
Maybe even 15. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time. And it's just one of those things. Every time I walk past the case that your jewelry is in our stores, it just stops me in my tracks. It's so, so beautiful. So can you tell me, how did you kind of get started? I'm sure it's been quite the journey.
Yeah. At this point, it's funny because it's been so long that, you sort of endeavor to remember what it was like at the very, very beginning. But I went to art school, so I came to jewelry through art, not through I didn't have a jewelry background or a family jewelry background.
Yeah.
And so I really came to jewelry through craft. And I am always have been extremely passionate about making, and the making meaning it starts from scratch. We alloy all our metals, we cut every single stone, and that's because it was really important to establish like a real aesthetic language, like the thing that really distinguishes yourself, differently from, and expresses yourself differently from everybody else, is your own point of view on, things that are going on in the world, and even fashion trends, and, and all of these somehow are summarized in your point of view on the thing through craft. And so really building from scratch, literally every single element in it. When you're at the very beginning, you don't know if these things that you're making are exactly representative of your core aesthetic or not, or if they're going to have lasting power or not. And, and it's not until you really build a body of work that you're able to edit out things and say that don't fit. Yeah. And so designing is in large part editing. You're creating things, and then you're seeing which things don't belong, and then you're left with a few that are really true and core, and then you build a few more around that, and then you continue editing, and eventually you end up with a body of work that is very, very recognizable, and that is very, even though it evolves over time and it evolves through different materials, it definitely has a very distinctive look and hand. And I would say that in my particular case, it's been somewhat of a challenge because one of the core tenets of my aesthetic is simplicity.
Okay.
And so simplicity, I'm a big fan of doing jewelry in real materials, things that have really long staying power, things that you'll love now, that have a fashion content, and yet also feel very classic, and you'll have them for the rest of your life. And so I have this little motto, which I use to design, but I really love it because it encompasses my whole philosophy, which is cool enough to covet and classic enough to keep.
I love that.
So
yes.
It's very fun because everything I design has to meet that standard. You know, is this cool?
To pass the edit.
Yes. Is it cool enough that I have to have it right now? I don't need it, but I have to have it. And yet at the same time, do I feel like I'm going to love it 10 years from now? You know?
I definitely think that shows through in your jewelry, because there's no question, like, we've never had a brand that we've carried in all of our years that we have such devoted collectors. The women that we have that shop at Bailey's that love your jewelry are like, it's like they have an emotional connection to it. I mean, they just absolutely love it.
And I think that in part it's because I really design for women, and it seems obvious. You know, I think nowadays that a woman would be the one choosing her own jewelry, but when I started designing, it really wasn't like that at all. And this transition happened relatively quickly. You know, over the last 30 years. Compared to, you know, the breadth of time.
Yeah.
But now it's happened so completely that we kind of have forgotten that, you know,
that wasn't always the case.
That wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
But because I really design for comfort, I design for style, for everyday wear, you know, for all these things that women are extremely sensitive to.
Yeah. And aware of.
And aware of. You know, you can look at jewelry in a case and say, I don't have to try that on. I know it's uncomfortable. You know, like you can just look at something and know how it's going to fit into your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had that, you know, sort of at the forefront of my design sense. It's like, I know who I'm designing for.
Yeah.
I'm designing for women.
That.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so to that point, we talk a lot. I'm really passionate about, especially for our younger clients who are starting out, you know, they're in the working world, they are jewelry lovers and want to start collecting. And I always say to be really thoughtful in how you start to build your jewelry wardrobe. So can you tell me, obviously we have lots of amazing things to share, but if you're across the counter from a young woman that's wanting to start buying, like what kind of advice, where would you say she should start?
Well, the best place to start is with something you really love, you know, like, and honestly, it's not a price point and it's not a practicality in some ways, because it has to speak to you, because otherwise you'll get home and you're like, why did I buy this? You know, and
even if it like checks a box,
yes,
if you don't like if it doesn't make you feel better,
feel
right?
good, yeah. And so it really has to speak to you for some reason. And I really love the idea of thinking of jewelry as art, you know, so the idea of collecting is very much a part of that.
Yeah.
And so you know, the very first thing I designed was, you know, the simplest possible version of a bangle, which is, you know, a squiggle that has some unevenness, and it has this unevenness purposefully, but it looks crafted but not crafty. And so the idea is to eventually start collecting and end up here. And mixing textures. So this one was another one that I designed at the very beginning that has diamonds from all sides. And that's for your own viewing pleasure. So that when you're wearing it and it turns sideways, you see the little diamonds.
I love that.
Sort of sprinkled all over. So collecting, so this would be like a very great start.
I want to try this on.
Yes, to the, you know, for what, you know, where to start. Something that has a little bit of sculptural interest, that together look like a collection and yet have some identity, but not so different that you don't, you know, that you think that there's something off.
And I love the way your bangles fit. As you just saw, ladies, I slipped these on over my wrist. They come in 4 different sizes, correct?
Yeah.
So depending on your wrist size, we can literally get the exact bangle to fit you perfectly. And I remember the first time I ever met you, you had your arm full of bangles, and when you were talking, your hand would move, and the sound, I was like, I want that sound.
Yeah.
I want an armful of bangles so my arm can sound like that. I mean, it's just
it's
so
like music.
It is.
It's
I
like
love
music.
it. It's so amazing.
You know, I'm a big proponent of joy in your everyday life. You know, and life is short and the world is extremely problematic. And so any opportunity that you have, you know, to have control over elevating your mood is you should take.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. And I don't look at them all day long, but I hear them all day long,
and
it definitely makes you feel good, and it really elevates your mood, and it brings attention, you know. And I'm, you know, bringing attention to yourself and the things that matter, and aesthetics and beauty really matter. I'm, you know, in my more philosophical mode, I'm a big proponent of the idea that beauty matters because it civilizes society. And so, you know, people that care together, you know, about their community, about, you know, things that are important to preserve and conserve, buildings, community, art, you know, are tend to be healthier communities. And so I've never seen the pursuit of jewelry as a career as frivolous, you know, because I really feel like you need to do it with intention and share it with intention and communicate it with intention, because I think that people, when you look at it that way, feel very differently about it, and actually can look at it very differently too, and appreciate it very differently, and feel very differently about their purchases too, because you know, you want to feel good about. That's another thing that I feel very sensitive with women, particularly. It's like, it's hard to earn money. You know, I'm a woman, and I find it's hard to earn money. It's hard to make it all work out so that you have the extra cash in the bank to actually do, you know, give yourself a present. And so, you know, you have to be thoughtful about what you're offering, and there has to be a real intent and value, and on lots of different levels, you know, so so that you walk away and you feel good, you look good, you know, anyway, and you have all of those things participate in the enjoyment experience.
Yeah, and that's why I love your jewelry so much. So you guys, what we're showing here today is all of Ippolita's beautiful 18 karat gold. What I also love, and to your point of like, yes, earning that money, having the pride in being able to make a purchase, so many, not all, but so many of these beautiful designs that you see here are also available in sterling silver. So we can offer another price point for people that love your work and want to get into collecting. And I have so many clients who started with your sterling silver, and then as time has gone on, they've been able to incorporate, I have plenty of clients that just went straight to gold as well, but have been able to incorporate and kind of grow their collection also, as their style evolves. Mixing them is
fun too. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have any silver here to show, but they mix very well too.
Yes.
So another thing though I wanted to talk about was color, because
let's talk about oh, we have a question.
Okay, so before we do color, Nicole would love to know what Ippolita's favorite piece of jewelry from her personal collection is.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Just one?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's an answerable question.
There's too many good ones.
Too many good ones. I mean, I would have to say the Cherish necklace, which I wear every single day, has to bubble up to the top, because it sort of has every single element of things that I love. It's all entirely handmade. These links are made by taking pieces of wax and imprinting them on my body. So, and then I cut them up and make links so that they are slightly organic and slightly feminine without shouting that fact. But there's a reason that it looks as good as it looks, and that it hangs as well as it hangs, and it feels as good as it feels, because it really comes from, you know, a whole process related to the female body. So I have to say this would have to bubble up to the top.
Love that. I love it. Okay, so let's talk color. So as you guys all know, we've been seeing a lot of color. So many of you women have been loving wearing more color, and the Ippolita color really is on a whole different level, ladies. And I have so many pieces that I have bought of your colored stone jewelry over the years that I absolutely love. And what's really, to me, a standout about your jewelry is the ability that you have to not only mix colors in an unexpected way, but also the quality of the actual colored gemstones that you are able to source. It's really amazing. So can you kind of tell me what that process looks like?
Well, because I'm a fanatic maker, I realized very early on that one of the reasons that I wasn't incorporating stones, because I started, my first 6 years was just metal. Okay. So I just did gold. Okay. And eventually I wanted to incorporate some stones, but because when you buy stones off the shelf, they are all cut in a very traditional fashion. And mostly, most notably, they have a table, and the majority of the material is in the back, which makes them very difficult to use, you know, and especially difficult to use in a casual manner, or
they're heavy
in a more organic manner. And so I realized I have to cut my own stones. And when you start cutting, you know, first of all, if you've never cut a stone before, you are just shocked by what you find, which is the rough looks like rocks, you know, and it doesn't look like gemstones. Yeah. And so the whole process of finding the gemstone inside the rough and how you're going to cut it, and what, you know, what decisions you're going to make about what you prioritize. Like, do you prioritize getting the most amount of good material, or are you willing to accept that this particular material has some veining in it and you're going to incorporate that because it in fact speaks about the material more? And these are things that you wouldn't know unless you cut your own material. Right. And also it really helps you manage the waste, which is really, really, I think, getting more and more important to everybody. You know, when I started, and if you're just drawing a picture of a piece of jewelry and say, I want a blue stone here and a yellow stone there, and you don't know how the rough actually comes out of the ground, right, you're not aware that you're saying, oh, this is 1% of the material actually looks like that, you know. So if you instead know what the material looks like, you can say, oh, instead of using a single color of blue, I'm going to use 5 blues, 5, you know, variations of blue. And so you can use much more of the material. And so I sort of pioneered this idea of designing in palettes, you know. Yes, so
which I love. I feel like that's kind of one of your trademarks. I always love.
You can get me one of those blue necklaces.
And I'm always so excited to see like the new color, we call it a colorway, that we're going to see you come out with, because they're always so like unexpected, and every time I'll see them I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of putting those together, and yet it always works.
Yes, yes, it's this is one of the most exciting sort of parts of the design phase, because, thank you so much, because you can see, like, this is what I'm talking about. So not only are you mixing different materials, but you're mixing different textures, and you're mixing
different faceting
and different. And also the idea that there are not fronts and backs, but it's always going to look like it's frontward facing,
which I love.
So when you can just, the idea is you should be able to just throw it on, and no matter how it lands, it's good looking. Yes. So that's the idea.
And it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
So pretty.
You don't actually have to futz with it, which is the beauty of it. You know,
and it feels good on too.
And it feels good, and you can play with it, you know, and touch it and feel it all day long. I mean, to me, that's one of the, you know, one of those details that, you know, women pick up on. Like, you don't have to explain it to them. Like, you put it on.
Yeah, as soon as it's on, they're like, I get it.
I get it.
I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely.
So, and then,
like,
turquoise is my favorite material. And it's not the most precious in the world, but it speaks to me in a way, you know. So back to that conversation of what speaks to you. Yeah. For some reason, this particular turquoise that comes from a mine called Kingman in Arizona is so exceptional.
The color is amazing.
And I use lots of different types of this, and you can see, like, for example, in this particular pendant, it has a ferrous vein, and it has iron in it, so it has a lot of this orange matrix.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and when you don't see the matrix, it's the orange. It still makes it warm. So it's very different from turquoises that have black in them, because they go towards a cold blue, and this is in the warm family. And so, you know, you can go from making something more, you know, traditional for me, not super traditional, but traditional for me in this kind of styling, to pendants like this, which I'm gonna actually put on. Well, you know,
I have one of your one-of-a-kind hearts. I have the it's coral.
Oh, yes, yes.
And it's wrapped like that. So all of these hearts, which I'm obsessed with, they're all one-of-a-kind, ladies, and they're amazing. The number one piece of jewelry in my entire collection that I get the most comments and questions about is that heart.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I love that necklace. I love it.
Yes, they're all wrapped by hand. So each one is different, and they're all cut in different shapes.
They're so special.
But I wanted to show you here. Here, why don't you lift your...
My giant mane?
Yes.
Okay.
That, like, this is kind of a cooler way to wear it. So, you know,
fun.
Easy, so that you can, the chains are usually long enough so that you can do this, you know, and wear it together with other things like you're doing here. And this particular, like, we didn't study this ahead of time.
Yeah, this is mine. I came wearing this morning.
Okay, so, but what I want to say is, like, the idea is you should be able to layer it, and it all goes together, even, you know, in a quite unstudied way, as we've been doing here. Yeah.
Just like kind of throw it on.
Throw it on.
I have this. I've had this necklace for probably 10 years.
Wow.
And I adore it. And it's so funny. Back to your talking about the organic and the way that it feels and the angles and the softness. Like I constantly find myself holding this and like rubbing it.
Yes,
like it's a talisman. I'm just like, because it feels so good.
This is my little vocabulary of shapes.
I love it. Yeah, because they're all different, right?
It's a little alphabet.
I love it. It's so fun. Okay, early on you mentioned your alloy. And I just want to touch on that really quickly because I actually was having a conversation in the car yesterday with a client, and we were talking specifically, she was like, her gold looks different. And she was asking me why it looks different. I said, well, I'm not 100% sure. I was like, I know it has to do with the alloy.
Yeah. So 18 karat gold is 75% gold and 25% other metals. And when I was starting, I'm from Italy, and I really wanted to have the gold color have a sense of antiquity, even though the language of the shapes and the sculptures and the textures should be modern. It should have some hint of, you know, classicism or old world treasure.
Okay.
And so I spent a lot of time going, you know, 1 granule of this, 1 granule of that, 1 granule of gold, 2 granules of silver, 1 granule of copper, you know, and so then you melt
testing.
it. Yeah, and you see what color comes out. Anyway, it turns out that my alloy is almost entirely silver. So it's gold and silver.
Interesting. Okay.
So both precious metals, and the silver is very dominant in color. So when you mix with silver, the color lightens up a lot.
Okay.
Because it's a very dominant color. And I love this. I mean, I think that it's just so rich and wonderful and beautiful.
And looks good on every skin tone.
It just looks so good. And if you look
really
at
it there,
on bigger pieces, you know, look how cool that looks. And it's good, you know, it's really cool to mix these in here. You know, look how nice that looks when you're mixing a bigger piece in other pieces. So, and you can see it more clearly.
That's beautiful.
But
and all your gold, all the gold you guys are using is recycled, correct?
Yes, yes.
That's
so we buy
amazing.
Recycled gold, and you know, as usual, when it's more expensive because you have to have it certified. You know that it comes from recycled source.
And all those alloys have to be removed to make it pure gold again to be able to use again. Oh,
Exactly.
Another question.
Imogen wants to know, she says, does Ippolita have any tips for layering jewelry and creating stacks?
Obviously, yes. The answer is yes, she does. I kind of feel like you were one of the first. I know it's very popular now, this whole like layering idea.
Yes.
But I really think
I was the pioneer.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe so.
Yeah, no one else was doing this.
Yes, yes. Not only that, but Bergdorf was my first account, and they said, don't do bangles. Women don't like bangles. And I was like, well, I like bangles, so, you know, I'm going to do bangles.
It's because we didn't know we liked bangles,
yes,
right?
Exactly. You didn't have enough different ones to stack. That's what.
Well, and I also think, I mean, you do have some round, but most of yours are that oval. So they're easier to slip on. And the fact that you offer them in sizes, I think before that, it was like if that one bangle didn't fit on your hand, you were kind of out of luck.
And I actually want to show this because this is why they're oval. So when you wear one, it's oval. And if they're round, they hang down on your hand.
Yes.
And they clank around because there's way too much. Your wrist is actually a rectangle. It's not a circle.
Yeah.
And so it should be just the size that it needs to be to get over your hand, because once it's on your wrist, they start turning around, and as you see, the hole gets smaller. So once the hole gets smaller, so the more you wear, the more comfortable they are, because they, you know, they turn around like this, the hole gets smaller and they get tighter, so they're not actually clanking around. Even though you have a lot on, they're not actually going clank, clank, clank all over the place, because they are twisting and getting smaller.
That's amazing.
So that is, you know, that's a purposeful design feature.
Which is amazing.
And in terms of like how to layer, so layering is one of those things that has rules and has no rules. So the main, I think, thing to consider is texture. So you want things that, I design things that go together, so purposefully for that reason, meaning so that there's no wrong way to do it. But texture, for example, adding a soft bracelet in a stack adds a lot. So to have a chain in a stack of bangles is very useful, and you can have different styles of chain. So this is a new chain.
Ooh, I love that. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, this is new.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's you know, much more modern, much more linear. In fact, it's called linear. And so the idea is mixing textures and mixing types of bangles with soft bracelets. So
and I like the openness of this as well, with like the solid of this.
So, and the other idea I think that is fun to consider is that stacking and layering can happen in different ways. So, like, this is another stacking concept.
And this is that same new chain.
Yes, this is the new chain.
So cool.
And so, but here I'm stacking rings, but not on my finger. I'm stacking them on, you know, as parts of a necklace.
Which looks so cool.
And I also I'm going to take this off because I want to show you something else about this. So, another fun thing to do, and it's all, wait a second.
All right, while you're doing that, I just have to mention, because I know you guys will get a kick out of this. So you see Alyssa and I eating our lunch every week. We came to New York, and Ippolita was like, well, let's do charcuterie. And look how beautiful this is. I was like, well, we're not in Raleigh anymore. Our charcuteries are like, come in a little plastic box. We show up here. I'm like, this is beautiful. And it's one of the reasons I love New York. It's so good.
So this is the necklace and this is the bracelet. And one cool thing is obviously you can wear them as a necklace and a bracelet, or you can hook them together end to end. So instead of putting the end of the bracelet to the bracelet, you put it to the necklace. And here I'm gonna take this off you so that I can showcase it on you, this idea. Okay.
Oh, I love that pendant.
I know, isn't it cool?
It's so cool.
And you can wear it obviously long, meaning just as a longer necklace, or you can wear this as a lariat.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
Is even cooler. Now, the tighter you put it, the sexier it is, you know, as you can see like that. Or you can do it a little bit longer, which is, you know, more day wear, more everyday. But, you know, who doesn't want to be sexy every day? So, there you go.
Hey, ladies, hey.
And it's also long enough if you want to do it as a lariat just as a small lariat. Here you go. And so you can wear this as just a necklace, or you can wear it as a lariat just by itself. And then you can put this in the middle of your bangles.
I love this new chain.
I know.
That is
isn't
gorgeous.
that cool?
Yeah, I love it. Pretty. And again, ladies, all 18 karat. That's amazing.
We do have another question.
I'm ready.
Okay, Amy asked, I purchased one of your beautiful turquoise pendants several years ago. Absolutely love it. How should I clean it and care for it?
Good question.
So, turquoise is porous, so you have to just make sure that it's always kept in a plastic bag or something if you're not wearing it. That way it doesn't get dirty and it doesn't. But soap and water solves almost every dirt problem. And, you know, obviously it depends how much wear it gets. But it's really quite resistant. So I wouldn't be afraid to wash it, you know, with soap and water. And
like a soft cloth. You wouldn't want to use anything like abrasive on the surface of the turquoise.
Yeah.
And if you're local in our area, bring it to us. We'll clean it for you gladly. We'll spiff it right up for you.
Yes,
we're happy
exactly.
to do that. So as far as being a porous, I want to just mention one thing about it being porous. You wouldn't want to put it in any kind of like jewelry cleaner, any kind of ultrasonic,
Yes.
anything like that. Don't do that.
Or alcohol, anything
Yes.
that has alcohol in it.
Yeah, because it will over time actually deteriorate the surface of the stone. And that's not just for turquoise, that's for most stones. There's very few stones that actually can withstand
Cleaners.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So soap and water is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of porous stones,
Yes.
can we please talk about your opals?
Yes. Opals are my favorite, one of my favorite stones. And I do a lot of one-of-a-kinds. And one of the reasons I do one-of-a-kinds is because the stones themselves dictate what you can do with them.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just cut any stone in any shape that you want. And opals, particularly boulder opals, are a good example of this.
Can you just for clarification for people, what's the difference between like what we hear as just opal versus boulder opal?
So boulder opal comes from Australia. And the mines are very, very small. They're small mines. And the opal material deposits on another stone. And so the strength of if the strength of the material is compromised if you cut it. So you really have to use it the way you find it. And this is a good example of that. Versus a black opal. So this stone here has a stone underneath it, you know, like the matrix on which it's attached. And you basically use it the way you find it. And this one is set in this absolutely incredible sort of a sea of sapphires of different colors.
It's beautiful.
And isn't it just amazing? I mean, I just find it like so mesmerizing.
It's
so
very, the
beautiful.
stone is so dynamic.
I
It
know.
doesn't matter, and it changes depending on the light, depending on the angle you look at it.
Yes,
I mean,
it's just,
it's unbelievable.
It's phenomenal.
It really is.
And this one instead is a black opal, and this one is opal through and through.
Okay.
So this one you actually can cut somewhat, you know, because they are more fragile than other stones. And so this is kind of like the variety that you can have, like an opal that is opal through and through that you can cut somewhat versus a free form that has a matrix attached to it.
We put it right here. Oh yeah.
Here you go.
Yes.
So beautiful.
I don't know if you can see the actual like 15,000 colors that are, you know,
yeah, it's
coming
so
through.
dynamic.
Yes.
It's amazing. And this is one of those things, like so many of your pieces, and I just want to mention this, and I know a lot of you know this, but I cannot tell you how many pieces of Ippolita's jewelry I have that I've collected over the last 15 years that I wear, and women will see it and are like, oh my gosh, I love this bracelet. I love your necklace. Could you guys order that for me?
Yes.
And
no.
I'm like, that's not how it works. With a lot of designers, that is. But because Ippolita's aesthetic is so organic and so unique, she, like you said, you're truly building pieces that fit the stone.
Yeah.
If you find something you love, ladies, like even these, I mean,
yes,
this stone, because you see a lot of it here, you think, oh, well, you could just duplicate this.
No, these
No.
in fact we don't make anymore because of that problem. It's very, it's become basically impossible to find material that's this clean and this consistent, because even when you cut a stone, like you'll have a piece of rough, you'll cut it and it'll be blue on one side and green on the other.
Yeah.
So to get something consistent like this, you have to cut a lot of material and then you sort it before you cut it. To say, okay, I have enough here to make one bracelet, and I have enough here to make 2 pairs of earrings, and I have enough in this shade to do something else. So things that look consistent, you know, to the naked eye or to the sort of untrained eye, if you don't know the material, could be incredibly difficult to achieve.
So to that point, if you, whether you're looking on our website, Ippolita's website, you're in our stores and you see something you love, just know that if that bracelet sells tomorrow, that doesn't mean we can get it again. So if you're somebody that has an emotional connection to a piece, the time to get it is when you see it, because it's not necessarily going to be there again.
In my opinion, there is no other way to buy jewelry other than emotional
connection,
emotional
right?
connection.
I know. Well, it's one of those things, you know, it's not like buying a pair of jeans or a t-shirt. It's not like it's going to be there to be purchased again.
Yeah.
And that's the case. I came in this morning wearing a pair of malachite earrings that I have of yours from more than a decade ago that I love.
Yes, you're like a vintage closet.
I know, I love it. And immediately I was like, I'm not going to wear these because someone's going to see them and want them, and we can't make them again.
Yes, yes.
So I'm wearing these instead, which I'm not sad about. These are amazing.
Yes.
What stones are in my ears?
So it's 2 types of turquoise, blue, topaz. This is a rock crystal over a mother of pearl, and there's a small apatite perhaps, and a maybe some other stone even.
And I think too, because you're so thoughtful in the way that you cut, they're not heavy. Like
yeah.
I could wear these for days and they would not bother my ears.
Yeah, I know. That's,
Which you wouldn't
that's again,
expect.
comfort.
Yeah.
You know, I really design for comfort. So this is why a lot of my stones are paper thin, exactly for that reason. You know, and it really is more for earrings. You know, you want the earrings to be very comfortable and talk, you know, so you can talk on the phone and live your life and, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we talked color. Oh, and I do want to say, as much of your collection is amazing, you know, your different seasons of different colorways, you do have a core collection of beautiful styles that you can offer in different colors and come different ways. Like I loved seeing all of these earrings lined up here. They're so cute. It's like a little rainbow.
Exactly. So that's well, you know, going back to how do you start?
Yes.
You start from things that you know you're really going to wear.
Yep.
And, you know, there are some silhouettes that just look good on everybody, and you just know you're going to throw it on every single day, and, you know, you can go swimming with it. It's not going to fall apart. You know, it's just going to be your go-to. And you can have something like that in 2 or 3 colors.
Yes.
And that is, you know, once upon a time I thought, oh, that's weird buying 3 colors of the same thing, but it's actually not weird. It makes more sense, you know, when you're starting out to understand that to have things that are like truly everyday wear in different colors makes more sense than buying different things for the sake of buying them different.
Yeah.
And so there are certain things that like that look better in multiples, and you should have in multiples in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like me with my Birkenstock collection.
Yeah, exactly.
I have dozens of pairs in all the different colors because I know I love them and I can wear them every day.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Dress them up, dress them down. Do you have the gold ones too, or?
I don't have gold. I have silver.
Oh, okay.
I need to get some gold. I have furry. I have full Sherpa. I have wedge ones. I love a Birkenstock.
Oh, okay.
It's like my favorite shoe. I'm not wearing them today. Okay, so we covered color. We talked about your beautiful alloy.
So I want to talk about the way I set diamonds, which is
tell me.
different.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
So maybe I can show you on this ring, or maybe this particular piece. Now, this might not be as easy to see, but do you see that this is all very organic and sculpted, this profile? Mm-hmm. And part of it is because I love the fact that everything should have a tactile component. You know, this is going back to the beauty of wearing something is partially sort of touching it and knowing it's there. And when you're doing something this sculpted, mm-hmm. then the stones, there are about 10 sizes of stones on here. Because in order to get the micro pavé to fit as tightly as possible
on something that's not a flat surface,
then you have to use many, many different sizes of stones. To do this, the mapping is incredibly complicated, and the mapping is literally creating a map of how the stone, because each of these stones does have a table, and so the table can't be too much at an angle, or or it's going to look off or not be set properly.
Wow.
So this is something that seems, quote unquote normal, and is instead incredibly, incredibly complicated. And unique, just very, very unique. And this, to take it to a different level, is a ring version with the addition of stones, larger diamonds cut in all different shapes.
It just gives such an amazing, to your point, like it might not even be something that the person that's seeing it and admiring it or being drawn to it, they don't know why they're drawn to it.
Yes, exactly.
But it's because of those unique features. It must take forever for them to set this bracelet.
Forever, in fact. One of the so here, I'll show. One of my favorite silhouettes is a coral branch, because I'm Italian and I'm a coral fanatic. And this has, I think, 860 diamonds. And so the setters are like, but I like it because it's so fine. Mm-hmm. The idea is that it's really, really delicate and really fine. I love a big look made out of very delicate silhouettes. And the setters,
that's beautiful.
Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make sense.
1,000 stones in something this small. And I was like, don't worry about it. That's not how
you think about it.
I don't think about it that way.
Yeah.
I want it to feel completely seamless. Like, here, feel it with your finger. You shouldn't feel any setting at all. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't feel the prongs. So to have that many sizes of diamonds in something this small, is really like maniacal. But,
so what you're telling me is when one of these comes across your jeweler's bench, he's really excited about it.
Yes. Oh my God. He's like, don't do this again, please.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I love the way you use the different shapes. And it might be hard for you guys to see that on the video, but we can take a separate video and I'll post that in stories so you can really see that detail. Because here it is. I mean, it's amazing.
Isn't it just so cool?
Well, I love, the first thing that popped out to me was that emerald cut, because you have that step faceting.
Yeah.
It just really stands out. So pretty.
Yeah, they're all different shapes. So they're teardrops. Yeah, they're all different.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So pretty. Oh, there's so many pretty things. It's hard to pick. It's so hard to pick.
So, and every single one really has a story. And it's funny because I can tell you the story of every single one, mm-hmm. because everyone, went through a process of discovery and design and very sort of material driven and always filtered through this lens of the aesthetic.
It's amazing. It's so amazing.
It's fun to have lots of stories.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it goes to show that you've really, not only have you put your heart into all, I'm looking around the room, ladies, because there's so much pretty jewelry like in my site, but not only did you put your heart into creating all this, just your general approach. I love kind of hearing, because of your sculpting background, your just approach to creating is so different, which is why I think your jewelry continues to really resonate with women, because it's so, so beautiful. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This
Thank
was
you
so
for being
fun.
here. Yeah.
Ladies, we are here for the next 2 days. So if you have anything in particular that you have questions about specifically about Ippolita's jewelry, if there's something that you've been dying to have, now is the time because I'm literally here with her. So let us know.
Picture.
Yes, we'll send a picture. So let us know. We are absolutely here to help. Anything you need, Alyssa or Nicole will get with you and we'll get you taken care of. So have a beautiful week. Thanks for being here. And we won't see you, but I'll see you next week on Ladies Who Lunch. Bye, ladies.